you know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, then. I'll bite your legs off.
I can take it. Great power comes great responsibility. We have a hope.
Get to the chopper! And to the flesh wound.
I am the father.
And welcome back to the 37th episode of the Monster Movie Stompdown. Of course, you got Sludge here, and then my co-host on the other side of the table.
It's Mark.
And then our brother from Texas is back from battling the COVID. He struck it down like a beast. Ruben, say what's up.
Yeah, I am doing great and on the road to recovery and back to work. So, God willing, I'll be 100% here pretty soon.
Man, I'm glad. I mean, you when you were on in the last episode and you told me you had COVID, I was like, oh man, that sucks royally, you know.
Yeah.
But it was weird because for you, because you hear a lot about the virus and how it's affecting people, and a lot of it's very respiratory. But for you, it was more stomach related, right?
Yep. What I had is more of a stomach type flu symptoms. I had a fever and stomach flu symptoms. That's what I had. And not until I started getting better, when my fever broke, I got a little bit of a cough, and that's it. That was my symptoms. But a stomach flu is no fun. So you can imagine. Yeah, it was no fun. But yeah, that was my issue was not even respiratory at all. It was more stomach related.
Well, man,
which is funny. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, which is funny because of all the people. I'm in I don't know if y'all know, but I'm actually in a hot spot. And I imagine I caught it at work because we're not stopping work. I had to report to duty every morning, you know, and and everybody, and this is a hot spot. So I'm hearing more and more stories of people catching it. And not one of them has had the stomach problems that I did. I was the only one.
See, that's crazy.
Everybody else everybody else is migraine, headaches, or, fatigue or something like that. I'm the only one that got the stomach issues, which is weird. But, I battled through it. I isolated myself so nobody else could catch it in the house. Cindy, because RJ pretty much got it.
Right.
He was first. Yeah, he was first. And then followed by me. And somehow Cindy, I don't know if she got it or not. If she did, she did not have any symptoms. So it worked out for her. So,
well, I'm glad.
But no,
I'm glad she didn't get it or get any symptoms. That's good.
That's
so,
right.
Well,
no, yeah. As soon as I found out, man, I didn't sleep in my own bed for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Oh man, I know that feeling. So when Sarah broke her ankle, I was didn't sleep in my bed for a couple months. So, well, man, we're glad you're back. We missed you definitely for the Relic episode, but we trucked through that one. I think we had enough to talk about because of the books that helped us that episode pretty easily. So, but we are here, we're back, and it's Shark Week coming up. I thought that was really, really cool. So we're going to dive into that. But first, I wanted to make an announcement. The main episodes of Sludgecast that we've been doing is going to go on hold for a few months or maybe several months. Obviously, we spend more time doing the Monster Movie Stompdowns. We get more interaction from the Monster Movie Stompdowns. And the Monster Movie Stompdowns is now going to become the main show every month. I've got some other things going on. For those who haven't seen, I've recently joined a band again. And just with things going on in life, it's easier for me, and I need to kind of step back and down an episode, or because it takes a lot of work to do those episodes to make sure it got news and different, two different topics and picking a song, and there's a lot more that goes into building those episodes than these. These we just have fun and we're watching monster movies, and it's pretty easy to do. And flows very well with the three of us. Those take a lot more work in planning, especially if I got a topic where it's like, okay, I only know this much, a little bit about, I need to research. So, there's a lot of time that goes into those episodes. So for now, it's just the Monster Movie Stompdown, man. And that's okay, because this is the show that gets the most listens anyways. So, So it's going to be just the three of us running it, and we may do something cool. We've talked about it previously. We're going to definitely do the 2 episodes a month, but we may do something cool, like a 3rd episode each month. And we were talking about, like if it's a special holiday, kind of like we're doing Shark Week this week, maybe September, St. Patty's Day, doing Leprechaun or something like that. Or
why do you bring up September and St. Patty's Day?
Why am I doing that?
I don't know. I always thought it was in March.
It is in March. Why did I do that?
It is.
What am I thinking of? Labor Day.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
one thing of September.
Yeah, there's some labor monsters.
Oh,
out
there definitely is. We could definitely find something about that. So, or October, doing an extra episode for Halloween, doing a monster flick for that. So something like that, we may do a 3rd episode.
Yes.
Which would be cool. Christmas doing Krampus would be awesome.
There we go.
Love that. So
There you go.
and there's some Thanksgiving horror we could dive in, monster movies we could dive into that are terrible, but would be fun. So we do something like that. But for now, it's just us, man. The Monster Movie Stompdown crew is Sludgecast, and we'll be that way for a few months at least, and we're going to have fun with it. But this week, of course, we wanted to kick off and do something special next week or tomorrow when you guys hear this, because this airs on Saturday. Sunday, August 9th, kicks off 2020's Shark Week, which has been around for over 20 years. Over 30 years. This is the 32nd annual Shark Week. 32 years. That's the longest running television series Shark Week is. Do you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
know.
Wow.
I think the actual longest. Well, I know like The Simpsons is the longest running cartoon series, and it's been running around the same time, around 30 years too. But as far as like one of those syndicated channel shows, Shark Week's been running longer than anybody else. 32 years. It's pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is.
And I want to do something cool, so we decided to do a triple feature. We got 3 decades of Shark Week, 3 movies to dive into, and of course we have to do the original Jaws, doing Deep Blue Sea, and then 47 Meters Down. And there was so many to choose from, and we'll get into this, but there was so many shark films to choose from. It was hard to choose. It's like, what ones do we pick? Do we pick really bad turd films, or like some that are halfway decent, So I mean, obviously we knew Jaws was there. Jaws was a staple.
Had to have it.
Yeah, you can't do a shark show without Jaws. Can't do it. So, but
Well, to me, Jaws is the Godzilla 54 of shark, aquatic films type.
Oh, absolutely. I would say that.
It's just, it's.
So we'll definitely, Oh, so sorry. Go ahead, Ruben.
No, that's all. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. That
Exactly. I
Well,
agree.
let's put it this way. These three movies, I didn't even have to watch Jaws because I know it by memory.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
it's kind of like I didn't even watch it. I didn't even watch it because I own it in every format I don't have it on Laserdisc. So, I had it on VHS, I have it on DVD, I have it on Blu-ray, and it just got released last month on a 4K.
Yep,
I haven't got around to go get it.
Man,
but it just got
I
released on
almost
4K.
got it the other day because I told Jada, because Jaws is Jada's all-time favorite movie. For those who don't know, Jada's my daughter, my 14-year-old, and Jaws is her all-time favorite film.
I didn't
told
know
her,
that.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, that's it. That's her top dog film. And so when we decided to do the Shark Week episode, I told her, and I was like, "Do you want to watch one of these movies?" She said, "What movies did you guys pick for it?" And so we did Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, and 47 Meters Down. I was like, "Do you want to watch one?" She's like, "Let's watch Jaws." I'm like, "I don't even have to watch that one for this episode." And you've seen it like 500 times, kid. She's like, "Yeah, but let's watch that one." I'm like, "All right." So we ended up watching it. But I thought about before we watched it, I was like, "Oh wait, the 4K just came out. I may go ahead and pick up the 4K or digitally purchase the 4K."
Yeah.
But then I actually decided not to. I don't think I'm going to buy the 4K for that film.
Why is that?
Really?
Because of the special effects. Like I got the Blu-ray and it looks great on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But there's going to come to a point, almost kind of like the Faces of Death scenario, back in the early 2000s when Blu-ray's coming out and people petitioned for them not to release it because then you would be able to tell what was real and what was fake. I think 4K would be pushing it too far for Jaws, for me. Because I know it, Bruce, and for those listening who don't know, when we start talking about Bruce, we're talking about the shark. That's the name of the shark. I mean, I know Bruce was an animatronic shark, and definitely not. It was far from perfect, but I think 4K would ruin the enjoyment for me, if that makes sense.
Right.
Understandable.
It does. It's understandable, but I'm still gonna.
Oh man, go for it. I mean, if you want to get it, go for it. You know what I mean?
I'm still gonna get
So-
it. It's just like it's just one of those films I'll tell you one that I actually pre-ordered. It hasn't come in yet. Like Flash Gordon, the original '80s.
Oh, dude, I
Flash
love that
Gordon.
movie.
They released yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites. It came out on 4K, and as soon as it came out on 4K, I said I gotta buy that because that film was made for 4K. I don't know what the special effects are gonna look like.
I think for those
know,
though, with those type of special effects, like I think that'll be great in 4K because especially with the color palette
Yeah,
of that film.
Well, I still like
exactly.
Ruben. When you get the 4K, you need to let us know what Jaws looks like 4K, and whether
I am gonna
whether
get-
it's worth the
I mean,
purchase.
Jaws is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just got to get.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
definitely
yeah. And I know I've talked to Sludge about it, and I've said, I have 4K, but I always it's still they're still kind of pricey.
Yes,
they're not
yeah.
cheap. Like DVDs or Blu-rays, and I really have to decide. Okay, do I really want this film on 4K? Is it worth it? I got to always look at it, and I'll read reviews online because sometimes the transfers just aren't that great.
Yeah, it's very true.
And the transfers aren't that great. And I'm like, I've read reviews where they said it's same as a Blu-ray, don't even bother. And I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah,
them,
like
you
I
know?
mean,
I
would totally do like with you on certain films. Like I mean, I got the 4K for Godzilla King of Monsters, the Avengers, the Infinity War saga. I mean, I got both of those films, and they're great on 4K.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go buy Men in Black on 4K. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not. So there's certain films or Goodfellas, or The Godfather. Like, I'm not going to buy that on 4K. There's no way.
Well, unless they bring the price way
down. Yeah,
way
it's on
down.
sale. So
right. Yeah.
But
in which you have seen some drop.
Some have, yeah.
Some have dropped.
Oh yeah, because you can get like Venom. I saw Venom the other day, and I think it's like $14 now.
Yeah,
for
so
it. Of course, now it's been out for a little while, but it's down to that. So anyway, so Shark Week. We'll run through that real quick because this is a big year for Shark Week, and one of the reasons why we did this episode. A lot of big names. You got Iron Mike Tyson doing the Rumble in the Reef this year, so he'll be fighting the Great White. Supposedly, how it goes. Shaq did such a good job last year that he's come back again this year. So he's going to be on it. Will Smith will be joining Shark Week this week, and Snoop Dogg will be.
Oh Lordy.
Okay, so I haven't looked to see what episode Snoop Dogg's in, but like if I don't by any means condone smoking weed, but if Snoop Dogg's not smoking a joint with a shark, that episode's ruined. You know what I mean? Because like that's what Snoop Dogg for. So it's like that's what I'm expecting to see out of him. But it's a lot of big names, and they got a lot of big programs. They've actually got I think it's like 20 hours of new programming this year. Which there's been some years where it's like they do a lot of repeat stuff. It kind of drags me down a little bit. But I mean, so this year's got a lot of fresh stuff material, which is going to be great. And of course, they're bringing Air Jaws back. You got Air Jaws Ultimate Beach Off, which is Sunday, August 9th at HB, 8 p.m. I think it's the best way to start Shark Week, but I think the Air Jaws series is the best part of it because it's so captivating seeing these 15 to 18 foot great white sharks just breach 10, 15 feet out of the air. I mean, it's terrifying, but every time I could watch it 100 times over. Because it's like, oh my gosh, let me see it again. Oh my gosh, let me see it again.
Now, did you post the Australian Today Show?
Yes, I did.
That was phenomenal with that great white breaching in the
look on the dude's face.
Yeah,
he's like,
the
I'm
newscaster
never
was
getting
like,
back in the water. The other lady, she's like, stuff summer. Like, no. And that shark was huge.
And he
man.
come up way out of that water.
Yeah. I bet that was close. I mean, that had to have been close to a 20-foot shark.
yeah.
I mean, the girth on that thing was ridiculous. So kicking off with Air Jaws. And then Sunday, right after Air Jaws, we're getting Tyson versus Jaws, Rumble on the Reef. So that's where we get to see Mike Tyson take on a massive shark and see who wins. I love the commercial because the commercial ends with Mike Tyson going, someone's going to get bit. And then he smiles. Cracks me up, man.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to see. I want to see Mike bite the shark. You know what I mean? I think obviously it's going to be CGI.
Yeah.
But that's going to crack me up. Then, of course, we got Shark Lockdown, which is about the largest female great whites that they've been tracking off of New Zealand. They're measuring over 20 feet long. I mean, these sharks are huge, but they're these females. They call them the 747s, and the episode's about them. Then you've got Great White Double Trouble. That's dealing with the rise in shark attacks, especially with great whites in Australia over the last year, 2 years. There's been a rise in great white shark attacks there. Then of course we got Shaq Attack, which I can't wait for because we get to see Shaq come back and deal and fight another shark, which is going to be awesome. Then we got Jaws Awakens, which some shark experts are off the waters of New Zealand trying to find a nearly 20-foot long 2-ton shark named Fred. Now, Fred's a white shark, great white shark, but if you guys have paid attention, the females, you got Deep Blue. Was the biggest on film so far. She's right close to 20 feet long, and she's huge. The females get bigger than the males. And so Fred, being almost 20 foot, is the biggest male that's been known in existence. Wow. They're trying to track him down, which is pretty cool. Then there's Extinct or Alive, Land of the Lost Sharks, which is going to be pretty cool. They're looking for a shark species. I don't know what kind. I haven't seen it yet or what they said, that they thought has been lost to science for as long as 100 years. That'll be a cool episode. Will Smith comes out. His episode is Tuesday, August 11th. He's diving headfirst into action, excitement, and shark-infested waters as he confronts his fear of the open seas and the open jaws of nature's fiercest predators.
That's going to be a good
That's going to be good. So Will Smith off the deep end is going to be a great one. Great White Serial Killer Extinction. That deals with the investigators deploy an otter dummy to get a closer look and witness at one of the most spectacular shark attacks in Shark Week history. Not sure which one that will deal with, but it's going to be really cool. Monster Under the Bridge. This one sounds really interesting. I cannot wait to see this one. Scientists believe that monster sharks are making their home under the old 7 Mile Bridge. Fishermen claim that one of the sharks is a 15-foot long, half-ton great white half-ton great hammerhead named Big Mo. If that's true, he will be, of course, the largest hammerhead on the planet. So that'll be a cool one. Then you got Jaws in America, Mega Predators of Jaws. That one I want to see because it's takes in South Australia. A couple years ago, a fisherman found a half-eaten mako shark, and experts say there's only one species that could possibly be responsible for this. So they're hunting down a mega predator that could bite a large mako in half. Then you got Air Jaws 2020, which celebrates 20 years of flying sharks, which is going to be really, really cool. Adam Devine's Secret Shark Lair, Shark of Neptune. Alien Sharks First Contact, Lair of the Great White is another episode. Tiger Shark King, which it's got to be making fun of Tiger. What was the thing on Netflix?
Yeah,
the Tiger King or
Tiger
King.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what that episode's going to be like. Then of course one of my favorite ones, or ones I'm excited about, because I always love seeing these. I don't know if it's sick or not, but I Was Prey, Shark Week 2. So it's like all about shark attacks, like that actually happened. Sharks of Ghost Island, Wicked Sharks, Sharks Gone Wild 3. That is dealing with, excuse me, viral videos, which will be pretty cool. So, I mean, like actual
footage.
Yeah, that people film on their own cell phones and things like that, so which is really cool. Then another I Was Prey episode, Terrors from the Deep, which I'm pretty stoked about. I don't know why I like the ones about people getting attacked, but that's just always well to see. Naked and Afraid of Sharks 2, which I think is like something to do with the Naked and Afraid veterans. Like they go on this island in Bermuda where it's got shark infested waters, and I don't know what's going to happen there. So a lot of cool programming. Going to be a cool week, this upcoming week for Shark Week. So I know I'm checking out as much as I can. Something that's coming out pretty close to it. Steve Alton's, the writer of the Meg series, he's got this digital series, online, full virtual VR amusement park coming out called Where Sea Monsters Roam. And of course, you get a subscription to it. There's a multiplayer game. There's a full amusement park that's all VR that has these massive prehistoric sharks and different predators and stuff. Looks really, really cool. If you guys get a chance, go online and look for Steve Alton's Where Sea Monsters Roam. Check out any of the trailers. It looks super wild, super, super cool. They're going to have new episodes once a month for the show Where Sea Monsters Roam that they're doing with new stories. And then every time a story brings in a new creature, prehistoric giant underwater creature. That creature gets added to the actual amusement park, and you get to go down in all the levels in the amusement park in VR and virtual reality and see these creatures in the habitat. It looks awesome. Like, it's gonna be super, super, super cool. So it's coming out really soon. I know he was trying to do it at the same time as Shark Week, but I think it's coming like a week later. So that's something to keep your eye on, because that's gonna be really, really, really cool. So, all right, ready to jump in the movies?
Let's do her.
Let's do it. So
Let's do it.
all right, we're going to kick it off with Jaws, the first of the three sharks. Now, Jaws, 1975, Steven Spielberg film, probably arguably by most people, other than Jurassic Park, his best film. It's definitely his most noted film, most known film. I mean, Spielberg's great. I mean, Spielberg's done Jaws, he's done E.T., he's done Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We've got Jurassic Park, Ready Player One. Steven Spielberg is known to make blockbusters, and Jaws was the first. That's the first film that coined the theme summer blockbuster. Wasn't the technical first summer blockbuster. First actual summer blockbuster was The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, where it made like 12 times its budget. It was ridiculous, but Jaws did almost the same thing. Jaws had a $9 million budget, grossed at the box office alone $470.7 million. Definitely a summer blockbuster.
Yes.
And coined it for a reason. The movie is based off a book written by Peter Benchley, which is a great book. Of course, the screenplay was done by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb, produced by Richard Zanuck and David Brown. Has a great cast. The cast is it's stellar. I mean, you got Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gray as your lead cast. The mayor, Murray Hamilton, played the mayor in that, which is a great film. And for those who don't know what Jaws is about, a giant great white shark comes to Amity Island and starts eating everybody. And you've got the police chief, who's played by Roy Scheider, who just came from New York and hates the water, has to deal with this. Yeah. And Richard Dreyfuss plays an oceanographer, shark expert, who comes in to help him. Robert Shaw plays a shark hunter, shipboat captain. And the three of them go out to hunt the shark down and try and kill it in what is just one of the most exciting, fun summer blockbuster movies ever. I mean, this is the movie that put fear into people for going into the water. I mean, it's Peter Benchley's book Jaws was based off of a real life set of events that happened up in New Jersey, where there were 5 people killed in a saltwater estuary river that came from the actual ocean inland, and 5 people were killed. And this book Jaws was really based off of those incidents. And so that was something that happened that was absolutely terrifying in the early 1900s. But this movie is what put the fear of sharks and going into the ocean in everybody's minds, without question, I think.
And still talked about today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember that all the hysteria on that. I mean, well, we're a coastal town. We have the beach. And even as a kid, I was 9 years old, 75, summer 75. I was 8, about to turn 9. And I remember the hysteria of people scared to go to the beach. It was the funniest thing. I mean, I was little. I was a young pup, but I still remember that. I remember people being scared of going to the beach. It was like, oh my goodness, there might be a shark out there. And we have a pier out here, and once in a while they catch a shark, because there's sharks out there, tiger sharks and all kinds of others, not great whites. But there was hysteria down here. I remember as a kid, people being scared to go swim, just to go to the beach. It was weird.
I think this movie, for me, inspired my love for sharks when I first saw it. I mean, growing up, I was like, I wanted to be a marine biologist before somebody put a guitar in my hand. And I loved going in the water. I remember being a kid in Sarasota, Florida, catching hermit crabs. I had a little 9 years at the time. At my grandmother's, and I've got my snorkel and I've got my bucket, and I'm gonna catch hermit crabs, and I'm in the water and I'm going down and catching hermit crabs and snorkeling, and then I hear a bunch of people pointing and not hysterical, but hysterical and look, and there's a bunch of nurse sharks that are trying to get these needlefish, and there's probably 5 or 6 of them, but they're small. You know, I mean, they range probably from like a foot to maybe 3 feet. You know what I mean? There's, you know, young and juvenile sharks. I was ecstatic. And so I would just jump right in the water where they were at and was swimming along with these things. And it was the coolest thing ever. And then I swim out to the, you know, past the first sandbar. And then it dawns on me at the time, because I loved reading about sharks. Like, oh yeah, they go out so the bigger ones can come in. It's time for me to go back to shore, you know, at that point. But I loved it. I mean, I love Jaws. Definitely put the love of sharks in me, more so than fear. I think that, I mean, it's an amazing movie, but I mean, it much like The Exorcist did. Jaws rocked the world. Yeah. I mean, without question. Not just the, you know, just the shark. Every aspect of this movie did, and it's still such a blockbuster film. I mean, you know, when I went through and watched it again, I'm like, man, scientifically, there's so many errors in the film now, only because we didn't know at the time, you know, about the sharks and the things like, especially Richard Dreyfuss' character says about sharks and their behavior. I'm like, that's wrong. But that's what we knew then. Obviously, we know so much more now. But that doesn't matter. The movie's still phenomenal.
Oh, yes.
But the theme song is just as phenomenal as the movie. Just that dun dun. I mean, like, everybody knows what that is exactly. So I mean, and it did huge. Not only did it just huge in the you know, as a blockbuster film, it's terrifying to everybody. It spawned an entire genre of movies, you know, of the nature run Amic films. I mean, immediately, especially in the late 70s and early 80s, I mean, we saw, you know, Piranha, and of course now Jaws got 3 sequels, you know, the Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and then Jaws 4, The Revenge. But then, I mean, you saw movies like Piranha. You saw, a complete Italian ripoff called Great White, also known as The Last Shark, which actually was Universal sued the company over it because it is a blatant ripoff that is very subpar as far as special effects and acting. But I mean, it's Jaws. I mean, it literally is Jaws, just done in an Italian studio. You had that. You had, like I said, Piranha. You've got movies like Orca. You've got tons of other shark movies back then. Tinto Terra, which is the worst movie I think I've ever seen in my life. Mako, Jaws the Deep. You had Barracuda. Then you had other creatures. You had Tentacles, you know, the giant squid movie. And then it went from there to land. Then you had Grizzly. You had Alligator. I mean, it just ran rampant of nature run films. I mean, Night of the Lepus. We had monster bunnies, you know, at one point. So
Sharknado.
Oh gosh, Sharknado. Yeah, I mean, as much as it created the nature run Amic genre, and we still have some films like that. Every now and then you get something like Anaconda pop up or something. Shark films have been a staple and have never gone away since Jaws came out. Because you've got movies like the Sharknado series, which is extremely cheesy of a series, but it's so popular they have 5 films. In that,
there's just that general fear of sharks that will pull people to watch those movies and back those.
Absolutely,
cheesy movies.
The helplessness of you out in the water, and there's nowhere for you to hide.
Exactly.
Type of deal, you
know
you know, that's their domain, and if they're coming at you and you're swimming, you're at their mercy. And that's all there is.
You cannot swim fast.
No, nowhere near fast enough. So Jaws is where it kickstarted off, and we're going to dive in more into some of those offshoot shark films when we go to get through these 3, because you know we decided this Friday. I messaged you guys. I was like, let's do this. I've probably watched somewhere between 15 to 20 shark films since Friday. Like I'm waking up and the Jaws theme song is instantly in my head as soon as my eyes open. It has been absurd the amount of shark movies I've filmed.
You know, you mentioned a whole bunch of them, but one that I don't think I didn't hear you mention, and maybe you didn't watch it, maybe you don't like it, but I thought it was pretty decent film, was The Shallows.
Love The Shallows.
Yeah.
Watched
Forgot
it too.
about that.
Yeah.
I've got it on the Plex. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, dude. She does a phenomenal job in that movie. That's what I think. That actually was. No, that was one of the original picks. I say, was that one of the ones we were deciding? I thought about deciding for this episode, but no, it wasn't. That is a great movie. One of the reasons why I think that's a really good shark movie, and I like it a lot, is it's the first shark film to really show an air Jaws attack on a human. Like
we might should have done that instead of 47 meters.
Well, probably. We'll get to it. We gotta have
saying
one.
it now.
Saying it now. We gotta have one.
And that's when I brought it up. I said, well, you know what? You know, when you brought the list, I'm like, well, that's, those are good choices. And I'm like, man, I wonder why he didn't even mention the Shallows.
You should have brought that up Friday, Ruben.
Yeah. It's Ruben's fault.
Yeah.
That's what it is now. It's Ruben's fault.
It's my fault. It is my fault. And I still, Friday, that was like my first good day. I'm like, okay, I'm actually getting better. I'm going to get over this. And so but it's funny. You might have heard this. I was kind of still kind of I don't know what the word is. Kind of cloudy in the head, kind of like not thinking 100%. But when I think I told you in that conversation, I just saw 47 meters. Well, it wasn't 47 meters I saw. It was the Shallows that I had seen.
Yep.
A month or two.
I think you did say something about that.
Yeah, I said, I just saw that. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, man, I never seen this one. It was the Shallows that I had seen, So, but it is what it is.
Yep.
The 3 that we got are good choices.
Definitely.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. This is Universal's extraordinary motion picture version of Peter Benchley's best-selling novel, Jaws.
I just found out that a girl got killed here last week. And you knew it. You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous. But you let people go swimming anyway.
You yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Is it true that most people get attacked by sharks in 3 feet of water, about 10 feet from the beach? Yeah.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
We're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark.
Bad fish. But I'll catch him and kill him.
Did you hear your father? Out of the water now!
This shark, swallow you whole.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
That's a 20-footer.
25. 3 tons of them.
Hurry up, he's coming straight for us. Don't screw it up now. Don't wait for me. Now! Shoot! What's his tail? Give him room! I can't, he's trying to run! Oh! Come quick! I can't hold it! Hurry! Take it up! Hurry! Everybody out of the water!
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Jaws. See it before you go swimming.
All right, and Jaws is where it's at. Jaws that's began it, every bit of it. Unintentionally for the film, I will say, the shark was supposed to be seen a lot more than what we actually see in the movie.
Yeah,
he's actually in the book a lot more, and they wanted to do that in the film. The reason why it's not seen often and things had to be changed is because good old Bruce, the animatronic shark, didn't want to show up for work most of the time, or didn't want to work. He
was a lazy bum.
Didn't want to do anything.
He was a lazy bum.
They had continuous problems out of it. but they did manage to get it work long enough to get the scenes that we did get in the movie, and I think that actually favored the film. Like the
I think you're
Bruce
right.
not working
I
because I
agree.
mean it almost gave it that alien because you know it's a shark and you know it's down there. So I mean for the very beginning,
Right.
when you see Christy, I don't remember what her name is in the movie. The actress's name is Christy. That gets killed at the very beginning open scene. Like that is a terrifying scene. I remember meeting her 2 years ago at like Knoxville Comic Fanboy, or I think it was at a convention I went to, and I was like, "You absolutely terrified everybody." Like if it wasn't, I don't think if that scene wasn't as good as it was, the whole movie would have been totally different.
Right.
Like she set the bar for that.
That was like, man, I remember seeing that because I actually saw it. My brother took me to see this when I was 8 years old, rated R movie. But my brother, and I remember standing in this long line and everything, it was huge. But anyway, I remember seeing that first scene and she did such a good job. She was, she was scared. She did such a good job in that. That set the tone for the rest of the movie.
Oh yeah,
it was. She did, and that scene, and her breathing and her panicking. It was just awesome.
Oh yeah,
it was just. Oh, it was a shock. I mean, to your system.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to see a horror film, but then within the first 10 minutes, you're like.
And
oh
it's
my gosh.
pretty
You're
brutal.
punched in the
I mean,
face.
for 75.
Oh
yeah,
definitely, definitely.
You're take a kick to the face.
Yeah,
right?
here you go. We're going to start
dude.
right here.
And I'm wrong. Her the character's name is Chrissy. Her name is Susie Backline.
Yes,
is her name. From that opening scene to, I mean, when you go to the guys trying to throw the meat off the dock, that was intense. You don't see the shark. That was super intense. To the Kittner boys' death was
Kittner.
Bloody,
that was another
man.
scene.
Exactly.
Me being a kid and seeing that, I'm like, whoa, and then you see his leg kind of just floating to the bottom of the seabed or whatever.
yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was just,
I think
that was just,
it's I've always said this when it comes to horror films. And one of the reasons why I think Mimic we were talking about this one with Relic. One of the reasons why Mimic was the best horror film of the 90s, in my opinion, for monster movies, was because, in the book, The Relic, we talked about this, they killed the Imbuin, the monster kills the boys. Right. In the movie, he doesn't kill the boys. In Mimic, they kill the boys. You know what I mean? Like, and I've always stated, if you're willing to kill a child in a scary movie, it's going to be phenomenal because then there's no limits.
Right.
Like, you've just taken it all away at that point. And I guarantee you that's probably where that started, was when I first saw Jaws as a kid. So I'm watching this other little kid get just torn to pieces, and I'm like, there it is. That's the bar. That is the bar for a scary film.
The mom's out at the edge of the beach, and she's she's hollering for him, and it's just that tears you apart there. Just
it does.
Yeah.
And maybe for me, and I don't know if you guys thought about it this way, and is for this was she was older. You know what I mean? So, like, for when I saw him, I'm like, she's not a young mother.
Right.
He was young.
Yeah.
But so she obviously had him later in life. And so that made me feel even worse for her. Right. And I'm like, that is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And like, and
just brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Brutal.
So, I mean, every bit of it was just super intense. And there's very few, I mean, what wrong things are things I can't find a negative. We know the negatives would be the special effects.
Well,
but
think about it. Of all the deaths in Jaws, none of them were done halfway. Man, it was like from Kittner. The only one that you never saw was poor Pippin, the dog.
Oh yeah,
He just kind of disappeared.
We'll show you. We'll kill the boy. You will see the child die, but not the dog. Not the dog.
But not the dog.
We have standards.
But think about it. Yeah, but all the other deaths. I mean, even from the I can't remember his name, but when they go out and they lose that boat gets lost at sea. And they find it in the guy's head.
Oh yeah.
The only thing
what
left.
was that guy's name? I can't remember. But yeah, that was great. I mean, I love that scene. Was so good.
That was like, man, I remember that scene. I remember he's diving and he's in there, and then he's kind of poking around, and all of a sudden that head.
Oh
that,
man,
nothing but a head comes poking out at him.
Disgusting.
I'm like, oh man, this is. Yeah, and you're like, oh,
and the whole time,
man.
even like I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but even watching it the other day, I'm like, and I'm at that scene, I'm like, okay, the shark's going to show up at any moment. Like it's there, it is in the water, outside the light. You know what I mean? Like, and I've seen this movie, I don't know how many times. I know it doesn't show up in that scene, but I'm still going, dude, get on the boat. That shark's there. Like, get on the boat. You know, it's so good and so tense. I mean, yeah, you're right. The deaths are top notch for even Quint. You know what I mean, Quint's death's not hidden.
Oh,
you know
man.
You see the shark in all of its glory, for what it was, in full light, and it is just intense, man.
Yes.
That I'm watching them, like I don't even stop and think, like, man, that's the fakest looking shark ever. It's definitely not compared to other ones, but I mean, compared to what we have now, obviously it is, but it still looked great, and the whole scene was unreal. I mean, when he busts through the side of the orca, after Brody, so good, so good. This movie is like, I have no qualms with this film.
And I think another thing that it obviously it's a horror movie and it scares, but I think the actors and the characters mixed well together. It
was a good
Richard Dreyfuss, his character Matt and Quint kind of going at each other, Quint really picking on him all the time, and then Brody being scared to death of the water. So I mean, all that stuff just blended in on top of.
I could have watched a 2-hour
scary moment.
I could have just watched a 2-hour movie fishing voyage of the three of them.
Oh yeah,
like I didn't even need a shark.
Oh yeah,
I just want to see the three of them go fishing.
I mean, they just work so well together. So I thought it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, Ruben, this is like one of your all-time favorite films as well, isn't it?
Yes. Oh yeah, it's in my. This is one of my favorite films ever. I mean, I just love it. Like I told you, I have it in every. The only thing I don't have it in is Laserdisc, but and I still have the VHS. I still have the DVD. I still have the Blu-ray. Because I had the DVD in several. They re-released it.
Oh yeah.
And so I have the DVD. I have the DVD in several releases. It's just one of my all-time favorites because it's one of those films that when you're a kid and you see it and you watch it and it just, I was scared, but it was such a good scare. It was such a, it was just such a good scare. When I watched that movie, I wasn't traumatized. It was just such a good scary.
It's one of those
movie.
scares that
like,
when you get scared, you're smiling at the end of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh man, that was awesome.
It was just, and I was 8 years old, but I thought it was just. I just remember walking out of that theater thinking, "Man, I just watched the greatest movie ever."
Oh yeah, you walk out, the adrenaline's still going.
Oh
you're just still pumped.
Yeah, I mean, you're just like, wow, and it's just,
and even
and back then, Bruce didn't bother me back then. Now, knowing what I know, well, yeah, but back then, and
I think even now, even now, we know what Bruce was, and we know what Bruce looks like. I still enjoy seeing. I love every moment the shark's on the screen. I love seeing it. Oh, yeah. That first time you see him swim under the boat, still drops my jaw.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks so awesome.
And I think even though we know now that the problems they had and him working and getting the shot. When the movie came out, I didn't walk out thinking, man, they should have showed more of the shark. Should have showed, because it did. Because
exactly.
There was so many shots with him that they were so spectacular that it kind of overrode.
Oh yeah, because you had
that.
never seen anything like this before.
Oh no,
ever.
No.
Before this movie came out.
Yeah. I was in the Midwest and I still swore I wasn't getting in
the ocean. And even on top of that too, the soundtrack is great because when you sit back and look at this is a horror film, but when you listen to the soundtrack of them on the boat when they're chasing the shark down, that's very adventure themed music.
Right.
Like I expect that theme in the Goonies or a Pirates of the Caribbean film. But it fits perfect in this movie. The soundtrack for this movie is phenomenal. Keeps you driving the whole time. I've gotten zero qualms. I have no negatives for this movie.
None here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I told you ahead of time when you pick the films, I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, Jaws is, to me, is like I said, the Godzilla 54. For me, it's up there with that one. There's nothing negative about it.
Nope.
That I did. That there's nothing I can think of off the top of my head that I would say, you know what, I didn't like that. I didn't like that in the movie, or I didn't. There was nothing. You know, other than frustrated that the mayor wouldn't listen.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
But other than that, you know, other than that, like, oh, we got to keep the beaches open, you know, and but other than that, but that's not on the film, and that's a good part of the film because you're like, you go through all these emotions. You got your fear, you got your frustration, you got your, there's thrills in it, like you said, the adventurous part, it's just. Man, it's just a top-notch film that sets a bar pretty high, which is bad for the rest of the shark movies because none of them are going to meet that bar ever.
No. Some may come close, but none never touch it.
Well,
I agree.
They have tried and tried, and not
none still come close. So, and that's why. For the Stompdown rating on this bad boy, it got a straight all across the board, all three of us, 5.
Yes.
5 out of 5 stomps this one's gotten. So that's very few movies that we put that up there with the original Godzilla and original Kong now. So that's the only 3 all 5 stars we've given out of 37 episodes, more than 37 films because we've done a couple, like this. 5 all the way for that one. So well, let's see how this next contender does. So now we're going to jump forwards. Of course, there's tons of shark movies in between. But I picked this one because a lot of critics actually put this next film as the second best shark film next to Jaws. And we're going to find out why, because I kind of tend to agree. But Deep Blue Sea.
Tell me, Mr. Franklin, have you ever known anyone with Alzheimer's?
No.
What if you could end all that suffering with a single pill? Give me till Monday morning, 48 hours. I'll give you results that'll skyrocket your stock price.
In the most advanced research facility in the world. Wow.
Beneath its glassy surface, a world of gliding monsters.
A team of specialists is working against the clock.
Did someone order the fish?
On an experiment to benefit mankind.
Sharks never show any loss of brain activity as they age.
We're this close to the reactivation of a human brain cell.
But before they can save millions of lives...
Tell me I didn't see that. They recognize that gun.
That's impossible. Sharks do not swim backwards. They can't.
They'll have to find a way to save their own.
Just what the hell did you do to those sharks?
Did you feel something?
Jim and I use gene therapies to increase their brain mass.
What is that?
As a side effect, the sharks got smarter.
Somebody, please, tell me what that is. Go! Go!
Deep Blue Sea, for those who haven't seen it, which I'm sure most have, it came out in 1999. This is a Rennie Harlan film that has got some good actors in it too. Of course, Thomas Jane, this was kind of his breakthrough role. Of course, people know him from The Punisher and The Mist. LL Cool J's in it. Stellan Skarsgård's in it. Michael Rappaport's in it. Of course, you've got the man, the myth, legend, Samuel L. Jackson in it as well. In what is one of the greatest death scenes of all time on a film.
I love it.
That you could see coming 3 miles away.
You could, man.
Yes.
You could see his death coming.
Man,
But dude,
3 Mile, like,
still,
dude, you're gonna die right now.
I remember,
But,
I remember
well.
being in a theater scene, and the scene comes up, and Samuel L. Jackson's given. Well, let me give a rundown of the movie. We'll get to that in a second. We'll go to the movie. So,
Yeah.
pretty much what you got is you've got this scientist who's played by Saffron Burrows and a team of scientists that they are working on a cure for Alzheimer's. And then since sharks do not get sick, they don't get cancer, they don't get like that. They are continuously healthy creatures because they just don't get sick. They've decided to try and harvest enzymes out of these sharks' brains to fight off and cure Alzheimer's. But they find out that brains aren't big enough, so going against genetic codes and regulations, they break the law and genetically alter 3 test sharks, these 3 mako sharks, to increase their brain mass. In doing so, these sharks get smarter, like as smart as us humans smart. Not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. So Samuel L. Jackson plays the owner of the company who's funding this project and flies out to Aquatica, which is the lab out in the sea. That's an old German submarine docking station that they've turned into this massive shark pen, pretty much. I mean, it's got titanium fencing all around it. And to see them do the first test trial on this, they've got 2-generation sharks, is what they call it. They got two first-gen Makos and then a second-gen female Mako who is huge, like Bruce size, from Jaws, like 25-foot long shark. So they bring her in and try to they pull the test. They get this enzyme out of her brain and then find out it works. They have managed to cure Alzheimer's. And then crap hits the fan. Shark bites off Skarsgård's arm. They try to get Coast Guard come out the fly and grab him. Things go haywire. He gets dropped in the water, attached to the line of the helicopter. One of the sharks grabs him, slams the helicopter into the top of the base, and then all hell breaks loose. And the rest of the movie, the sharks start coming into the facility, chasing down the main characters, hoarding them up to the top. Because as Samuel L. Jackson says in the movie, what does 1,000-pound Mako think about? And Thomas Janes figures out the end, thinks about freedom, thinks about the deep blue sea. So they're hoarding these people up and killing them to get out of this facility. The sharks are superb looking in this movie. Superb.
Yes,
looking.
they are.
I honestly think in this film, these are the best looking sharks I've seen in a film ever. The CGI sharks are good and better than most I've seen. Not the best, but there's way more animatronic sharks for the 3 sharks in this. Even the tiger shark at the beginning is animatronic. Yeah. They're the best looking sharks I've ever seen on film, the animatronic ones. I mean, they're stellar looking. But this is a different type of movie from Jaws. So this is more of an action horror type movie.
Right.
And it's very claustrophobic. A lot of it takes place, most of the movie takes place inside this underwater laboratory with these small tunnels. But you've got a great cast of characters. Thomas Jane plays, the edgy kind of bad dude who can take on the sharks. As you see at the very beginning of the movie, he gets in the water with a tiger shark. It comes after him and pulls off this awesome flip move where he as the shark goes to bite him, he grabs it by its snout, flips over it, and grabs its dorsal fin, which is like, oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, we know you're going to use it again at some point in the movie, and he does on the massive Gen 2 Meg or Mako. He's the shark wrangler of the film. And then you got LL Cool J, who's probably my favorite character in the movie. He plays the cook, who's known as Preach, and he's got this really smart aleck bird, a little parrot that I think cusses more than anybody else in the movie. This bird does.
You're right.
And a great cast of characters. One of you were talking about the death of Samuel L. Jackson. He dies in this.
Yes.
In what is a scene that he's given this massive speech. They're like, we're going to die down here. Either the shark's going to kill us or this place is falling apart and it's going to implode and we're going to die. Well, Samuel L. Jackson's character survived an avalanche. And he goes on this awesome, just like Captain America type speech. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get through this. We're not going to fight anymore. You know what I mean? Like, but he's right in front of the drop hole of the bottom floor where they take the sub down. Okay, that leads right to the ocean. He's right there, so a shark is coming out and it's going to eat this man.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, you're just waiting.
Of the speech, dude. But the whole time I'm sitting there, because I went to theaters twice and saw this film, and I'm like, it's coming. But I was so on edge that when it happened and I knew it was coming and it was going to happen, oh man, I went nuts. I was like, yeah, whoa, it's like, it's so good. This is a great movie. I love this movie. I mean, I think super fun. The characters are extremely enjoyable or extremely hateable. You know what I mean? Like the main doctor, she Susan something or other, played by Saffron Burrows. You understand why she's done this to these sharks, but when everyone starts to die, the more you kind of preach. LL Cool J's character says how many people needs to die in the name of science. In the movie, you hate her, but then she makes an ultimate sacrifice at the end where you're like, okay.
Well, and I think as the more people die and as they're trying to get up to the top, you see her changing along the way. How she's
right,
because when she first starts out, no matter what, she's on a mission, and whatever it takes, she's to find the cure for Alzheimer's. And so I think when you see her by the time she does sacrifice herself, she's changed a lot all the way through. But definitely in the beginning, you definitely do not like this woman.
No, not
at all. She's cold, heartless, and it doesn't matter.
Yep. But it's that keeps you intrigued for a character. Again, Thomas Jane is Carter Blake. Thomas Jane is the hero of the movie, and does a phenomenal job at it because he doesn't take that hero role as like he's unkillable or untouchable. There's those moments of fear you see in him. When they're going up this airlock shaft and the water's coming up and they're on this ladder that breaks, and Jan, one of the female scientists, gets killed in an intense scene as well. Because that just made me cringe.
Yes.
And then the shark takes her back down and she's done for. The look on Thomas Jane's character, on Carter's face, is of fear. But immediately the first thing out of his mouth is Skoggs, can you reach the door above you? Because he's terrified, but he knows he has to get these people out.
Right.
So I love that about his character. That was so good. Scoggins, played by Michael Rappaport, does a phenomenal job. He's the geek. He's the nerd. He's the one that knows it all and keeps the facility running. His death was probably the most upsetting one for mine. I was like, he's going to die.
I would agree with that.
But it sucks he died, Samuel L. Jackson did a great job in the movie. Of course, now LL Cool J is Preach. He's got some of the best lines of the entire film.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion. I love the scenes with him when he's walking through the tunnels and like, because he's they call him Preach because I guess he used to be like maybe a street preacher or something. He's always talking to God through the movie, and like that Playboy comes floating and he picks it up, and then it starts shaking. He's like, okay, I hear you, God. I hear you, God. It's like I know your wrath. It's like he always has those moments, that are super great in the movie. Or when he's in the kitchen because he kills one of the sharks himself, and he gets trapped and he jumps in this oven. And the shark hits it and turns the gas on, and he goes on, I appreciate the irony, Lord, of Daniel going against the lion, but a man dying in his own oven. He's great. Such a great character in this movie. So it is really good, and the cast worked well together. I think
very well.
In this movie. Ruben, what'd you think of it?
Well, I don't know. I just thought it was an average movie, but like I have a high bar, and I like the cast. I thought the cast was great. I thought the special effects were great. I didn't really, I don't know, the story just didn't pull me in like I would have liked. I think they could have done a better job with the story. I thought the story was below average, basically. I like the sharks and I like the premise. I just didn't. It's just, of the three films, this is my least favorite. Let's just put it that way. And really, I remember when it came out, I didn't even go see it in the theater. I just was not that interested in it. And I remember when it came out on, it was on HBO or whatever it is. And truthfully, I remember anybody that ever talked about this movie talked about one scene, and it was the scene where she electrifies the sharks. and you know why that is, right?
Right. Yeah, but she's in her underwear or whatever.
Yeah. She's in her. She strips down. She gets on top of her wetsuit to insulate herself, and everybody. Oh, did you see that deep blue? You know that deep blue sea. Did you see that scene? That's what anybody I ever talked to about that movie. That's the first thing they brought up.
Man, that's like never the scene I talk about in this movie. Like that to me, that was like
that's what. Yeah, it was just the way it was.
Yeah,
and and watching this movie again, I'm like, I don't like her. You know, I don't care that she's in her underwear. You know, because I just did. She was not a likable character, which is a plus to her acting.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'll give her that. You know, she played it, and she was an unlikable character. You know, but it's so funny because I remember when all this and anybody ever talked about, but that scene, and that's all they ever talked about. Looking at it now, after all these years, it's been years since I've seen this film. I'm like, man, this was actually a good cast. It was an excellent cast. They did a decent job in the acting. The only qualm I have is the story. I thought the story was a little weak. Everything else about the film is pretty good.
For me, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Only qualms I had with this one was the CGI and scenes was lacking, which wasn't a big deal because to me, I had the pacing, the action of the movie. I just enjoyed it start to finish. I was really blown away by the animatronics, and I think that helped make up for it. But the CGI, there's scenes where I'm like, because I felt like all the sharks, even the tiger shark, in the CG shots, all looked identical. They all looked the same. So that was my beef with those.
Well, I thought that, you know, especially talking about the scene you're talking about where she electrocutes the shark.
Yeah,
I mean, she's went to her room to get the notes,
the data on the
data,
and so everything's floating around the room, you know, and when you're looking at these sharks throughout in the open, they're large sharks, you know, but he's managing to get around that bedroom really and I thought about it and I thought, man, he's awful big to be getting around here like this. Yeah, exactly. Is what I was thinking. I was like, well, they've kind of the proportion.
That's why that one. And I was going to say when Ruben was talking about everybody talked about that scene.
Yeah,
that's my least favorite of the shark deaths.
Well, and
because of that purpose.
And then on the she's standing on the desk. Now I know she was on a wooden table, and then she goes over to what I thought was another wooden table. Why does she need the rubber wetsuit? What was the purpose of that? You know what I'm saying? It's like if she's in the water, that wetsuit ain't gonna help anyway.
Right.
You know, the moment that line went in the water, it's gonna fry her. And so I kept thinking, what's the, you know, it has to be the.
I thought it was, I assumed it was it's the insulate. Yeah. And they might have just done it as a gratuitous scene. Type of deal.
They needed to get the wetsuit off of her.
Yeah. You don't get to see anything. Nobody in a bikini in this one, and you always every shark movie you have at least one person in bikini, so that had been there.
And I'm not a big electrician, so I may be wrong on that.
I'm with you.
If I'm standing on a wooden table, I don't need a rubber wetsuit.
I just assumed because when she did it, I'm like, well, why is she doing that? And I said, oh, she's insulating herself because she's standing on that wetsuit, but she's not in the water.
Yeah, that's
I think. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's
overall
my scientific explanation on why they stripped her down. You know,
makes it as believable as it can be. So,
but I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie.
Oh, I loved it.
And like Ruben, I liked the storyline. You know, trying to find the cure to Alzheimer's and so on, and so I thought it was really good. And the only really bad scenes that I thought was I just questioned the size of the
shark in that one. Yeah.
Well,
I'm with you on that one too.
You know, and getting through some of those rooms and some of those areas, you know, they're pretty big sharks and but other than that, I thought it was really good. I loved the acting. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was the science room in that room. The CGI was. I mean, it's not bad. It's still far better than most CGI shark films, anyways.
Right.
But still, it's kind of like a little. But my biggest beef in it, though, because I do love this movie, was there was not enough Skarsgård. Like, he's phenomenal of an actor. Like, he plays Dr. Jim Whitlock.
Yep.
And when you first see him in the movie, Jan's they get to the Samuel Jackson and Susan get there.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's Dr. Jim Whitlock, the most brilliant man on the planet. And Samuel looks up and he's like, he's pissing in the wind. How brilliant could he be? And you see Skarsgård stand there just peeing into the wind. And I'm like, I cannot wait to get more of this character. Like, and he's so good. I mean, especially, Stellan is phenomenal. Most people probably know Stellan from like the Thor movies and Avengers movies and stuff. But he's the father of Bill Skarsgård and Andrew Skarsgård from It and Tarzan. Like, that family is a family of amazing actors. But I mean, Stellan is phenomenal. I loved him. So that's probably my biggest beef, honestly, with this movie is there wasn't enough Skarsgård in it. Like, I love him on film, and his character was great. There's a lot of good moments with him that I just wanted more of him. But somebody had to die first, so
exactly.
Unfortunately, But this one still got. I mean, great film, a fun film, I should say. Jaws is a great, phenomenal film.
Right.
This was a good film. I would agree. It would be a tie because we didn't do The Shallows, but it would be a tie between this and The Shallows for me on being the second best shark film, of all the shark films out there.
Right.
It would be one of those two, but they're so polar opposite type of films. This is straight, action horror.
Yeah, right.
Shallows is survival horror. I mean, more like Jaws. So I mean, they're two totally different type of films, other than just big sharks. But this one still got a good solid rating out of us. I mean, out of between the three of us, we give us a 3.5.
Right.
Out of 5 Stompdowns. So I mean, definitely worth the watch. Of all the shark films out there, there's too many. This is one of the ones that's going to be higher ranked up in our opinion of a very enjoyable watch. Either way.
Exactly.
And now to the third film, and this was tough too because there was a lot. Like, I mean, what do I pick? What's going to be good? And I think 47 Meters Down, I picked because the concept of the movie made it more enjoyable because. What I should have picked was a movie called The Reef. I don't know if either of you two have seen The Reef.
I have not seen
it.
That, to me, Jaws is the greatest shark film. The Reef is the scariest shark film, in my opinion, because it is absolutely intense. There is 0 CGI in this movie. Every shark scene you see is a real shark, and there's scenes where they manage to capture the right movement or there's a scene where the shark comes out of the water right next to these guys. It's a guy, 2 guys and 2 girls. I mean, right next to them. And it looks like, and it's a composite shot. So they managed to get and film the right scene of a real great white shark coming out of the water exactly how they needed it to, composited that onto the shot with these actors. And it looks real. It looks like that freaking shark is there. And so there's no fake shark. There's no animatronic sharks. There's no computer graphics. This is straight, raw, real footage of a great white that they've managed to use. And the editing made it phenomenal. Because, I mean, everyone dies. And the death scenes are unreal. And they have managed to mix real shark footage of attacks with the actors and edit it to where it looks like that shark's attacking them. Unreal. But it's so stressful. Open Water is a very stressful movie,
right?
A shark film. But this movie was it was so stressful because you can't see you don't know where it's coming, and everything looks real.
Yeah.
It's just, it is super stressful of a movie. I mean, that's what makes movies great, in my opinion, for a lot of films. You look at Audition, which I know is not a monster movie, but what makes that movie so good is it's so slowly paced that it builds tension, and it's so stressful that when the climax of that movie happens, it makes it 1,000 times greater. That's how I felt with The Reef was that. Well, I picked 47 Meters Down over The Reef because of the concept of something that we all can do. We can go get in a shark cage and dive down and see great whites. What happens if the cable breaks and we're dropped to the bottom of the ocean and we're trapped down there in shark-infested waters? So I thought that was a great, different movie. I mean, we've
premise.
got
a great premise.
I tried to give something different. With all 3 films, you got a completely different premise with each one of these 3 movies. So we picked 47 Meters Down.
I want to make a toast. Thank you so much for bringing me on vacation.
Cheers.
Seriously, you have to try. It's totally safe. Welcome aboard.
There Pete, I don't know about this.
Adios.
Oh my god, this is amazing! Jeez!
What was that?
What? Oh my god! What's going on? We're sinking! Help! I have to get out of here! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! How deep are we? 47 meters. I'm so scared. We have to get back up to the top. Is anybody there? Somebody please answer me! Hello?
"47 Meters Down," of course, was Deep Blue Sea and Jaws saw several sequels. I mean, Jaws did $470 million. Deep Blue Sea did $165 million. Jaws saw 3 sequels. Deep Blue Sea saw 2 sequels. Actually, the second one's a big turd. It's sucked horribly. The third one just came out, and the third one is actually really good. Actually, I had a lot of fun watching the third one. Almost as good as the first one, actually. But 47 Meters Down just had a sequel as well. 47 Meters Down Uncaged. But the premise of 47 Meters Down, which the only real big actor in that movie that most people would probably know is going to be Mandy Moore. It's about her and her sister.
Yeah.
They go to Mexico to go on vacation, and while down there on vacation, they decide to go diving to see great white sharks. And while they're in the cage, the hoist chain or the hoist breaks and drops them 47 meters down to the bottom of the ocean. And they're trapped there until they can get rescued. And it's a great movie. It's a claustrophobic film because they're stuck at the bottom of the ocean. They're running out of air, and they've got great whites everywhere. Or you presume everywhere, because unfortunately, as Pete put this, Pete Quentin called it a snooze fest of a movie. And there are moments where I can agree, because me and Mark were talking about earlier, the sharks do disappear for a while. For a while, it's like, where'd they go?
That is one of the negatives I will bring up about that, is I don't think there was enough shark time. But neither, when you think about Jaws,
that's true too.
Had the same thing. Yeah, so you can't, how it's like with the Godzilla films. Oh, there was not enough Godzilla, and then you put enough Godzilla, too much God. Oh, there's too much Godzilla. You're not gonna make everyone happy. I thought it's funny because I was watching it here in the living room, and RJ was coming back and forth, and he got done. He goes, "You got done?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I didn't see the sharks too much when I was, walking around." And I'm like, "Nah, they weren't out there. It was the suspense that they may be out there. Like anytime they left the cage, everything around them was dark. You didn't know with that shark. I mean, there was a shark out there or not.
Every time they got out of the cage, I'm with you. You're thinking,
oh, you're expecting, you're expecting
that shark to show up. One of the sharks to show up. And I will say in favor of the film, definitely when it does show up, holy cow! Like, when the sister, Mandy Moore's sister, what's her name? Kate. Yeah. When she gets attacked, that was so intense. Like, I remember when I first watched it, like Sarah was watching it with me. She's like, "What just happened?" Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, that shark got her full head. Like, I mean, bit her
quickly, very quickly."
Yeah. She's like, "Rewind that. You way to watch it again." I mean, it was super, super intense. This movie definitely, Ruben, you're right. It's the suspense that they're trying to go with.
It's the suspense
because you don't know.
Yeah, and that was a big plus for me, which is why I rated. When we talk about the ratings, I actually like this one more than I did Deep Blue Sea, because I like the suspense in it. that unknown. I know I've talked to you guys in other shows. I like horror movies that keep you in suspense. I don't need I want the money shot, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather be scared, and I'd rather not know what's around the corner, and I'd rather not know what's in that dark room until somebody walks into that dark room and, you know, maybe gets brushed on their shoulder, or, you know, something like that. That's the kind of horror I like. I like that type of stuff. I like that suspense, the unknown. You know,
right.
One of the horror movies that's really polarizing is the Blair Witch Project, the original one. You either love it or you hate it. I liked it,
right?
Because it was, you never get a money shot. You never see the Blair Witch in that movie. I hope I'm not spoiling it for anyone,
right?
But it's
Spoiler
been
alert.
out for several years. You never see the Blair Witch, but throughout that movie, it brings out emotions in you, because you don't know what's out there in the woods, behind a tree, behind a bush, you know. And that's how this movie. That's why I like this movie better than Deep Blue Sea. You know that the Stomp ratings ended up being the same, but we actually flipped. I like this one better than I like, and Mark and Sludge like Deep Blue Sea better.
Right.
I like this one better. I like the suspense. That's the kind of stuff that pulls me in. I thought the story was super original. I'm like, you know, I said, hey, that's a pretty cool story. You know,
the concept
it was a little
great.
predictable. Yeah, the concept. I'm like, I said, this is cool. This is something different that I hadn't seen before. You know, and I really liked it. You know, it's just one of those. But it kind of checked a lot of my boxes. You know, Pete thought it was a snooze fest. I thought it was full of suspense. You never knew. Okay, I mean, anytime they opened that cage and one of them went out, you know. Now, I did think it was kind of weird that I think Kate, who's never, one of them had never dove. She'd never been a diver. She had never done it before. Yeah, Lisa. She had never done it, but she left that cage and she was a natural. You know, I'm like, well, you know, she's never done it before. How does she know what to do?
Right. Or like when she gets the other air tank and takes the one off and puts it back on the other regular, I'm like,
while she's out of air.
Yeah, while she's out of air, I'm like, man, you must be a pro, because
you did that pretty good.
That stuff bothered me. I'm like, you're supposed to be inexperienced. You're not supposed to know any of this.
Right.
You know, your sister's supposed to know this, and she's not there. You know, so but I like the premise of this movie. I really did. My only qualms about it is I thought I'd like to have seen more shark, but when you see the shark, they do a great job on it.
Oh man,
I mean,
the flare scene I think is one of the best looking shark scenes of any film. When they're swimming up and the flare goes out and they go to light that next flare and it shines red and you got the three sharks right there, one's mouth wide open. I'm like, holy cow. That's phenomenal shot scene right there, I think.
Yeah.
With this one, I mean, I did.
But don't you think? And here's one of the things I thought about in that particular scene, and is that how does that shark stop? I mean, he's right on top of her when she gets that open. I mean, she's looking all the way down inside that shark.
Yeah.
And then he cuts, you know, at an angle. It's like, you know, he should have just ate the flare and everything right there. So, it was kind of crazy.
To me, it's the premise was great. I love the idea about it. I love mixing in the spins, you know, which I thought was super good. And Sarah was like, "What are they talking about?" I'm like, the nitrous levels in your brain. It's like you know that's why you've got to decompress and things like that. So that concept, especially having to switch to tanks, what really helped.
Yeah,
was great. I loved that. You know, the ending of the film, I loved that she was hallucinating. Like, I'm the one that's like, if everybody dies at the end of the movie was phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, no one lives type deal. But so she thinks her and Kate survive, and they don't. It's just her. You know, she's down there. Kate's dead. They're all dead. You know what I mean? Like, and I sat there after I watched that first. Was when you went to the theaters. If anyone remembers, when you go to the theaters to see the film, you didn't see that. You saw them make it to the top, they get to the boat, and then the movie ended. And then they end up, that was the original ending was added on when they released it to home video and stuff, for the spins. She ended up having the spins. And I love that because then I also got to the end going, holy crap, the last 30 minutes didn't happen. Like, that's awesome,
Nope.
you know? I was like, what in the world? You know, I love that type of stuff. But for me, I did have a lot of qualms with it where I thought there was great opportunity missed or overlooked errors. Me and you, Mark, talked about when her leg was trapped underneath the cage, you know, and then I'll, you know, presume, I mean, those things are heavy. I mean, they are most time made of aluminum still, but they're still heavy. So
Kate even radios up and say her, you know, and says Lisa's leg is broken and they're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like, you know, ankle to shin just ripped up when she pulls it out. But yeah, and she has no problem swimming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she swims.
But
right
then
up
again, you know what I mean? It all ends up being a dream, hallucinating the whole time.
Well,
she's hallucinating.
But not when she's with the Coast Guard. So
She's,
at the end,
they're helping her swim though.
They're holding her arms, but watch her legs.
That's true. I mean,
that's what that was where the reference
lazy
I was
filmmaking
making.
is what that is definitely.
Yeah.
You know, so things like that. Yeah. Where I'm like, you know, but then for me, the CG, it's all CGI sharks. That's all you get in this film.
Right.
Period.
Yes.
And I don't like that. I want at least put the work in to do some animatronic work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That makes a big difference. Now they looked great. I mean, the sharks looked really good. But I mean, even like the cage, when the one starts to try and break in the cage, I'm like, give me an animatronic shark there at least. You know what I mean? Right. Don't give me a CGI one. But there was a lot of missed opportunities. The deaths or the attacks were too quick. You're left in suspense the whole time, like we were talking. You know, every time they get out of that cage, there's going to be the shark's going to be right there. You know what I mean? Or when Mandy Moore's character goes to the edge of that abyss or that drop off.
Yes.
And she has to swim over that big drop off. I'm like, dude, this is a perfect opportunity. It kept, which I love the fact that nothing happened because it kept you on that suspense. But then when you get to the other side and she finds the guy and he gets attacked, it's so quick. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's nothing to really kind of to bite your teeth into. It's just boom, split second, and you're like, what just happened? Yeah. You know what I mean? And the same with her sister.
But that's reality, you know, too. In other words, in reality, they'd all be dead. But
right, yeah.
You know, when a shark attacks, it's that fast.
Well, no, but I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying is like when you watch something in comparison to Jaws or to The Reef.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. You don't. You get to see the rest of the attack. You get to see the full blunt, you know, tearing.
Yeah,
the flesh,
I see what you're saying. It's not just boom, he's gone, and that's it. Of course, she sees what's left of him. At the bottom of the deal down there.
But you know, it was the same. Like
I know what you're saying.
Like with Kate, I mean, Kate was. You know, she met it, but she was gone. It was just that quick, gone.
Yeah, it was kind of like that quick. And what you want to see is the aftermath of after he grabs her. Is what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Well, and I think as a horror film, that's a part of it. That you know, you really don't have anything set in your mind other than bam, bam, it's gone.
Yeah,
you know, where a lot of horror films, or say as Jaws. You know, in the opening scene when she's getting attacked in the water, and you've got
you're talking 45 seconds of just terror.
You know, and you've got to, you know,
and there's none of that in this. You know, I mean, that was my big beef in this movie. And the only other thing too for me was when she's swimming across to go to the flashlight to go to Javier, the character is supposed to be bringing the winch down. The shark goes after her, and she dives in that little kind of cavern type area, and then keeps going. Well, then the shark attacks through the cavern, through one of the holes. I can suspend my belief, but that was above and beyond for me. Like, I'm like, no, the shark's not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, this is, you know, that was hard for me to swallow. I say that, but then, you know, like, I've really suspended belief and enjoyed some way worse things than that. But for some reason, that scene just kind of got to me. Right. You know, I'm like, I would have rather her gone through and the shark's on the other side, kind of waiting for her type deal, you know.
I got you. Yeah.
But I mean, so other than that, it was still an enjoyable film. You know, I mean, it definitely didn't see the success that like Jaws or Deep Blue Sea did by any means. I mean, this one did 62 million, but good enough to do a sequel. You know what I mean? So, but then that's why.
Yeah.
On a
overall.
$5 million budget. That was
That's still pretty decent. Pretty decent film. But then when
it
you look at
cost
$9 million to $470 million,
well,
there's a bit of a difference there.
the bar is a little higher over there.
But that's why this one gave us, we gave it overall 3.5. Right. Same as Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
Flipped it a little bit. Me and Mark enjoyed Deep Blue Sea more than Ruben. Ruben enjoyed this more than me. Me and Mark. But still, great movies, great shark films, and there's tons of them, man. There's so many. When we talk about this Friday, since Friday, I've watched, of course, these 3 films. I've watched Jaws 3, Jaws 4, Deep Blue Sea 3. Watched 47 Meters Down Uncaged, which I think is a far superior film. Way more unbelievable, but a far superior film than the first 47 Meters Down because it was just way more enjoyable. And when you see the shark attacks, you actually get the full shark attack. You get it all. Like it's not quick and easy. It is drawn out and just brutal. Then I saw Tinto Terra and Mako. I watched Devilfish. I watched the shark.
You went all out.
Oh, dude, I did. Shark Attack. There was a Shark Attack series or trilogy of 3 movies came out in 99, 2001, and 2003. The first one had Casper Van Dien and Ernie Hudson in it. Watched it, forgot about it completely. Actually, was a very enjoyable film. Watched it. I watched The Reef. I watched Bait, which was a great film. Terrible CGI in that movie. For those who haven't seen Bait, a tsunami hits Australia and a bunch of people are trapped in an underground supermarket with 2 12-foot great white sharks. And it's awesome. It's got the guy that plays Dr. Doom in the first Fantastic Four film, not the first Roger Corman one, the first Fox one. He's in it, and great movie, man. I love that movie. CGI is terrible CGI, but they do have a couple animatronic sharks in it that look phenomenal. I watched that. I watched The Shallows. Man, what else did I watch? I've watched so many shark movies. It's absurd. I went back and watched Orca. Because, you can't get into watching Jaws without watching. I almost feel like Jaws is a sister.
And Orca, yeah.
And those kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I know Orca's not about a shark, but I thought it was as good of a movie, in my opinion, as that. So, there are so many movies. And, of course, we talked about the Sharknado films, and you've got the the open water. I know a lot of people liked open water. Some people even called it the Blair Witch of the ocean. I've heard that comparison before, but to me, and it's based off something that really happened about an American couple who they're on a vacation and they get left in the middle of the ocean, which I'm like, I'm sorry, if I'm paying somebody and I'm going out to dive, okay, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen, because you should know, hey, I've got this many people on my tourist boat that are diving. There's 8 people, 6 come back. I'm just going to go ahead and go back. Where are the other 2? You know what I mean? Like, what happened? So that's another thing. But that's got the lowest budget of any shark film that I can think of, but did extremely well, again, because it is super, super, super stressful. They're left alone in the middle of the ocean together with no hope of survival. You know what I mean? Actually, it's got a pretty high rating on Rotten Tomato, too. I think it got like 70-something%. So there's good ones. The Meg. I watched The Meg. I love The Meg. It sucks in comparison to the book itself, but it's a great popcorn summer blockbuster fun. There's a lot of them. There's now you got house shark. You've got sand sharks. Which is this ridiculous stuff. Shark Night 3D. That was another one I watched. I watched Dark Tide with Halle Berry. That was a very disappointing shark film. Had some great potential. There's some good stressful scenes in that, but a big disappointment. Shark Night 3D was about as dumb as it gets. It's a saltwater lake, and you've got like hammerheads, and you even get to see cookie cutters. I'll give them a hat off on that one, because that was pretty creative. Seeing someone get killed by cookie cutter sharks, which are like 3-foot long sharks anyways, and when they bite perfect holes. Like circular holes, so that's why they're called cookie cutters, with the way their jaws are. So that was a little inventive, But the sharks were all CGI and just looked terrible. I couldn't get into the big, like, crazy ones. Like, you got like mega shark versus giant octopus, and you got Sharktopus, which is like the half shark, half octopus. But you've got some bad stinkers out there, But I watched quite a few.
And Jaws started it all.
Jaws started it all, man.
Yeah.
Just a huge fat. We wouldn't have Sharknado if it wasn't for Jaws, man.
You got it.
And where would he be in this world without Sharknado?
Oh, yes.
Because I don't know. Jada loves those movies. Like, I've seen the first one, and
those pretty much, they're so bad that
They're fun.
The actors were like,
yeah,
doing it for free. You know, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Well, most of the actors
I'll
do
do
know
it just for the
yeah. Well, most of the actors, I mean, took a very, very small. They didn't make much money on those movies, and then like whatever his name is, the main actor in the movie, I know he took a back end, like he took a upfront portion for the movie, but he was one of the more higher paid actors on it, but he had to do a back end deal too. For those who don't know, like, so if somebody's going to do movies, like, okay, I want $15 million to do this film. Okay, well, no. How about we give you $10 million and then we'll give you 3% back end. So what it makes on the back end after theatrical run, and it makes its budget and main profits back, then you get a back end percentage, almost like a royalty type deal, for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So he took, a payment and then a back end deal. So I mean, and I think Tara Reid did too, actually. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
But I mean, those are absolutely ridiculous movies, and there's so many of them, man. There's, especially from the 80s and 70s, there's some really rare ones that are great to see. But I mean, it's tried and true, man. The Jaws series is still the most fun out there. I mean, the first one started. I know the fourth one, Jaws: The Revenge, is probably the most hated. I think collectively, of the four. It's honestly probably my second favorite of the series. I love the fact that they kept the Brody family through the whole series. So I mean, you've got Martin, Roy Schreider's character, deals with the shark in the first one. The second one happens again. We were talking about it before. That's actually my least favorite of the series, because I felt it was just like they try to rehash and capture that magic again with nothing new, nothing inventive. So for me, I wasn't a big fan of it. Third one, same thing. Now it's the kids. The Brody boys, and Shark and Jaws 3. They're having to deal with it. Sean and Michael. And then in the fourth one, Michael is he was a marine biologist at this point. He's in the Bahamas doing some kind of a study, and his younger brother Sean is a cop like his dad up in Amityville up in Amity Island, and he gets attacked by a shark and gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
And so and Lauren, the mom, again played by Mrs. Brody, played by Lauren Gray. She's the same actress in all four movies. She goes to the Bahamas with Michael after Sean's killed to kind of get away from it. I mean, she's lost her husband. He died, and then not from the shark, but died. But she talks about how the shark killed him because it caused, his heart attack or whatever. And then Sean dies, and all she's got left is Michael. The shark follows her. Great white sharks don't go to the Bahamas, but this shark follows her to the Bahamas. And so she believes it's like this demon almost that's out against her family. And it's her against the shark at this point. And to me, that was great. I loved that. I loved Michael Caine. I mean, he's great in that movie. He's super, super good. Then you got Lance. I can't remember his name. Plays Michael. He was in Last Starfighter. Lance. I can't think of it of his name. But great actor back then. But I enjoyed Jaws: The Revenge. I thought it was great. Even the ending was super, super cool. But I mean, to me, that's the best shark series there is, is the Jaws. Jaws started it, man, and it's super, super good. But it's super, super fun. Is there anything else you guys want to mention? Any shark films we haven't talked about, might want to throw in there?
No, you've pretty much covered and watched every one of them.
Yeah, I watched it, man. I cannot tell you.
In 4 days?
Oh, yeah, dude.
I can't think. Like, man, you watched, I watched I watched 2 because I didn't watch Jaws because I didn't need to.
Yeah,
but I watched 2 and I'm like, dang, boy, you went on a. But then again, I've had about just enough of movies and TV in the last 3 weeks. I never thought I'd say I got tired of watching TV, but I got tired of watching TV.
I bet.
It's just one of those things. I'm like, man, I just, just got tired of it. So I just didn't feel like it. And but as I started feeling better, then I watched these 2, and like I said, Jaws, man, I could probably quote that whole movie all the way through. So I didn't even need to watch it. It's Jaws is the bar.
It is, man.
That is set.
It's the pinnacle.
It has not. It's nothing has touched it yet.
Nope.
Nothing. I would, in my opinion, There might be somebody who thinks.
Oh, I agree. When it comes to when it comes to shark films, I'm with you 100%. Jaws is top notch. Yes. Well, I mean, it's the third film, third film on the Monster Movie Stompdown to make a 5. Yeah, I mean,
yes.
So we put up there with the original Kong and original Godzilla for a reason. Super, super good. Well, right on. Well, guys, thank you all again so much. And don't miss Shark Week this week. We want to see Tyson find a great white. We want to see Will Smith face his fears. We want to see Shaq just be big dumb Shaq. It's going to be
and Snoop Dogg just do whatever.
Yeah,
just
whatever Snoop Dogg does, it don't matter. He's going to talk a shark to death. That's what he's going to do.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So, but definitely check out Shark Week. It's going to be a blast. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Join us again next week for the next Godzilla film. We've got Godzilla versus Mothra, also known as Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth, a 92 film from the Heisei series. And we've got RJ coming back to do another father-son duo for this one. And then the week after that, we've got another Monster Movie Stompdown for you. Ruben, I don't think we told you, so I apologize.
We got some news coming to you, Ruben.
Yeah, so Mark picked the next film, phenomenal film, Norwegian giant monster movie, found footage, Troll Hunter. Great movie. Ruben, I don't know if you've seen that one or not, but
I have not.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Yes, great movie.
Yeah,
great movie.
Actually, when after we did the Relic episode, and I was like, man, do you want to pick one, Mark? He's like, let's do Troll Hunter. I'm like, yeah. I watched it the next day. Like I couldn't wait. I was like, I gotta watch this. That's gonna be a really good one to do. So, so join us again next week for Godzilla versus Mothra, and then the week following we will be back with Troll Hunter, and then stay tuned for September for some more giant monster movies. Again,
coming at you.
Main episodes are going to be going away for a while because this is now the main episodes. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Again, this is Sludge
and Mark
and Ruben.
Y'all have a good night.
We have a